Just like that. What is going on out there, knuckleheads? This is Brian Parker with Empower TV Network, and we are coming to you live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And we missed you last week, but we had to take care of some serious business. By that, I mean some smoked turkey, some chitlins, some collard greens, and some more chitlins. But we are back after our chitlin coma, and we are ready to get back at it. So glad to be back. And we will be discussing this week. Two verdicts have come in since. Two verdicts have come in since we've been out, and one was the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, and the other was the trial of the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And they both had somewhat different results, but very interesting results. We want to talk about it. There's a lot of folks that are saying that, you know, every time we seem to get a little bit of justice, folks almost act like you should just be good with what you got. It was almost like once Derek Chauvin was found guilty of murdering George Floyd. See, everything's okay. I ain't got to sit there and march and protest anymore. It's not that big of a deal. See, you won. And, you know, did we win? And why did we win? And the similarity between both cases is very funny, is that initially, neither one was actually going to be brought to justice. In the case of Derek Chauvin, they just brushed it away until a closer look was looked into the video, into the cameras and everything that took place around the whole event. Was the only reason that the whole Derek Chauvin trial came to light. And the local prosecutor was removed from it, and it was brought by the state attorney general. That's the only reason. And pretty much the same with the Ahmaud Arbery case. 74 days went by before those murderers were even apprehended and arrested. In fact, the first local prosecutor told the police to not do anything, that it's okay, go home, they're okay, because of familiarity that she had with them. She knew them. It was okay. It's just a black guy jogging. You killed him, you probably needed to. He probably was very aggressive against three people that had guns, and he didn't have anything. So, and it wasn't until later that it kept getting pressed that the guys were finally arrested and put on trial, and it became what it was. So the question really is going to become, you know, if these things are so really cut and dry and we should be happy that they won, why does it take so much pressure just to get it in front of a jury? Secondly, why do we always need so much video evidence just to get a win? You know, it brings me back to Trayvon Martin in a lot of ways. And Trayvon never really got a day in court because all it took was for one guy to say that Trayvon was the aggressor. And that was enough for the jury to just say, well, okay, we're good. George Zimmerman never got a trial. And why? Because there was no 15-year-old girl taking a video so that the whole world could see the inhumanity that was being done at that time to a kid that all he wanted to do was go to the store in halftime of an NBA game, get some Skittles and iced tea, and come back home. It's funny how doing some of the most regular things can get you killed in America. We'll talk about that and more on the other side. See you in a minute.
ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
It's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. Talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And we are back for another week. So sorry we missed you guys last week. Like I said in the pre-show, we were in our chitlin coma. I'm sure everybody on the panel had a nice heaping plate of chitlins. Well, maybe not. But anyway, we did have some good food. Hopefully everybody was safe out there, had a good time. And all you vaccinated people hung out together, and you made sure that the unvaccinated people did not sit there and bring Omicron to your front porch. Now, with all that said, all seriousness, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching us, you can be joining us from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Wherever you are, we appreciate you. We do this show every single week. It's been running since August of 2019 and still going strong. So Empower TV Network thanks you. We also air this show as well as many other things on our Roku channel. And I have a special announcement, but I'm going to save it till next week's show to let you know about our expansion that is coming up. So some really, really cool news. In the meantime, catch out all of our content on Roku, but actually on YouTube. If you like, share, and subscribe, anytime we go live, you'll also get that alarm bell as well. Listen, guys, if you produce anything, if you have a good, a service, a small business, and you would like others to know about it, why not partner with us? Let us advertise your business, even if it's an event that you're having and you want more and more people to know about it so that they can attend. Send us an email at theparkermedia@gmail.com and let us try to figure out how we can help you with that. We do partner with people all the time, just so that we can let people know about the events and everything else. And we would love to do that with you as well. And just to give you an example of that, here's a commercial from our friends at Plumbers, Electricians, and Beyond, a local company in the DMV area looking for a few good technicians. And we'll see you on the other side. And there it is. And we are joined by our panel. We've got Mr. CJ Jones. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely. You ready for your Cowboys tonight with the Saints?
We don't have a choice, baby. And you know me, I'm forever faithful. So win, lose, draw, whatever, it is what it is. And if they don't bring it, maybe next year.
Very interesting. Okay, I'll take it. I'm here for it. And right now we have Miss Lori Parker. How you doing, Lori?
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Okay, well, 3 times is good. I like that. And normally we would have had the franchise with us, but he is actually on the road. He's not only a serving our country and doing everything in the Air National Guard, but he's also a realtor. So he's actually on his way to put a lock on a house and put a sign in the yard. So he's selling the house. So that's, good for him.
It's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's a
very good thing. And he may try to join us mobily. He doesn't know how it's going to work while he's driving, but if he can, tune in and give us some wisdom and go into his going in segment, he will certainly do that if the chance does arise. But however, we will get to it. We thank everybody for joining us. You can always send your comments, questions, observations in onto the live chat. Just want to recognize Anthony, who already put in 2 comments. And so I'm going to go ahead and read them, and then we can go on from there. He said, I was just watching the movie American Skin with Nate Parker, shaking my head, and it's not the same, but it's all about justice for Black people. And he's probably responding to when I was doing the opening pre-show, talking about what we were going to get into tonight about the Ahmaud Arbery verdict and the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. And some similarities between the two, and even though the outcomes were a little bit different, to say the least. So first and foremost, y'all good? Everything good? Everybody had a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah. I'm not with you on that chitlin stuff though, bro. But
you didn't have the full plate of chitlins?
No, sir. We canceled chitlins the moment that my nostrils realized that was crap, cooked crap. Negative, sir. Never done the chitlins thing. Never.
Man, you don't know what you're missing. It's good eating.
I know exactly what I'm missing. I know exactly what I'm missing. That's why I don't ingest it.
All right, guys. So we're gonna have a poll in just a little bit on Empower Network. Chitlins or no chitlins? Make your voice heard.
Yes, sir. That is one good quick way to get rid of me.
Run you out with some chitlins in the house.
Oh, that's all you got to do.
Oh my goodness. Well, I had it. Huh?
Say what?
I said, what about pig feet?
I'm all right with that, but chilling is a definite hell to the no.
Okay, but you would eat the trotter. Okay, so there is a distinction.
Honey, we got sausage, we got bacon, we got pork chops. If you want to break it down.
So you'll suck his toes, you just won't eat his lining.
I said I might. And that like the way that we did it in my family, it was more so for the flavoring. Now, my uncles and aunts, like, they ate the whole thing literally from the rooter to the tutor. But me personally, I mean, it's just the thought, the sight of it, looking at it on the plate. I'm like, nah, bro, nah. I mean, I can get with the flavoring, but that's about it. That's why I was like this.
Mm-hmm. All right, fair enough.
I just had a question because I now, if I may get in on the chitlin debate, ain't making them, no. But if I was asked, I could make you some pig feet. And my lovely, illustrious mother-in-law has put down that says she wants chitlins.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw chitlins all day.
So yeah. I can make it for you.
And twice on Tuesday.
Nah.
Some people have tacos. Some people have Taco Tuesday. We have Chitlin Tuesday.
No,
I want our chitlins, damn it.
No,
why do you think we keep so much Texas beef hot sauce in the house?
No.
We got
And
put on
see, and see, like, well, it's just like how we done like before, like how we've already discovered before. I'm the sweet tooth man. You know, the wifey, she's the spicy and all this other stuff. So, you know, opposite palates. You know, now you talking sweets. Okay, now I'm here. I'm all in.
Okay.
But anything that's spicy and hot and all that, nah, I'm good.
Oh, so
Okay.
we better keep you away from all the Caribbean spots and stuff, all that jerk and everything else.
That was, man, yeah, that was, I mean, even when I was traveling, like that was like my biggest challenge was trying to figure out how I was going to enjoy the culture and not regret it later.
But yeah, well, and you know that's the thing. We
Yeah.
enjoy it and we still regret it later. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. You go up to New York and you have all that Grenadine and Trinidadian and all that kind of food and stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to enjoy it, but enjoy it now because you will regret it later. Trust me, you will regret it later. But anyway, instead of talking about bowels and chitlins all in the same paragraph and everything, let's talk about.
You just talking shit.
Yeah, still talking shit.
And that's what you do.
Let's talk. Well, I do. Let's talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict that came out, where
Sure.
now 18-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse was basically acquitted of all charges brought against him in the killing in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Everybody kind of knows that story where there was a Black Lives protest. Rittenhouse decided to show up to the protest with an AR-15 that initially was reported he carried across state lines because he lived in Illinois. It was later pretty much said, well, he didn't bring it across state lines. He purchased it in Wisconsin, but he had somebody buy it for him because he was not legally able to get it himself. And there was a curfew, yet he showed up to the rally to assist in protecting property that no one asked him to assist in protecting. Then once he was confronted by some people at the protest, things got choppy back and forth. Then he found himself in a position where he felt he had to defend himself by killing two of the people and maiming a third one. And the fight back and forth between both sides was, well, if he hadn't brought his little white tail over there, wouldn't have to worry about that. His thing was that he had a true fear for his life, and at that point was able to defend himself. And before I get into with y'all on this, I pretty much knew once he was able to claim that as his defense, it was going to be very difficult to get a conviction. And the reason is that once somebody can prove that they had a reasonable fear and that state's laws will permit that, the burden of proof in a murder trial is on the prosecution, not the defense. And the burden isn't just on the prosecution to prove it, but the burden is on the prosecution to get 12 people to believe it. All the defense has to do is get one to not believe it, and it hangs the jury. The prosecution got to get all 12 of them to stay together all the way from beginning to end and agree. So when you have state laws that have that whole, I felt fear in my life and I had to self-defend myself, that's a lot of burden of proof. Could they have gotten him more with a lesser charge of something like aggravated assault? Not even murder, but aggravated assault, possibly. Excessive use of force. Yes, you had an AR-15. Did you have to kill him? Why didn't you shoot him in the leg? Those kind of things. Wanton laws where you endangered people around him. Where because he fired the weapon, yeah, you killed those two people that you felt like were trying to kill you, but you could have harmed other people around you because number one, you weren't old enough to have the weapon. Number two, you weren't even where you were supposed to be. So by your presence of having a unauthorized weapon could have endangered other people around you. It's the same charges that the guys faced when they killed Breonna Taylor. They didn't get charged for firing for the bullets that went into her apartment. They got charged for the bullets that went into other people's apartments that could have endangered their lives.
Collateral damage.
So there are other charges that they could have went after, but they went so hard after first degree murder that the burden of proof was such a high hurdle to overcome that once I understood that state's laws had some really, really good self-defense in it, I already knew it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. But I'll let y'all jump on that before I jump in a little bit more on it.
Go ahead, Lori. I would love to hear what you got to say. I would love it.
Me too.
Well, I mean, pretty much when he started crying, talking about how he needed to defend himself, you know, pretty much I knew it was a wrap. But again, it's what is expected because no one is there's no accountability. And that just seems like it seems the accountability doesn't travels throughout our society, that no one is really accountable for their actions or for what they needed to do. Claiming that he was in fear for his life to me is crap. But but again, if that same scenario was with a child or an individual that was not white but was a person of color, the outcome would have been totally different. He would have been dead on sight. I mean, it's just a matter of, and that's where I just pose this question in to everyone. And as we sit here and talk about Kyle Rittenhouse, and then we're also talking about the Ahmaud Arbery trial as well. But in all honesty, what is the question is, what does justice look like in today's society is the real general question.
Yeah, Lori, you brought up a good point in that it's funny how when you're white and you're 17, you're looked at as a kid. When you're black and you're 17, they look at you as a full-grown man.
That can't die. And
that has superhuman strength. I got to keep my knee on him because there's a possibility that even though he's unconscious, he may wake up with superhuman strength and kill us all. So we got to, but no, in all seriousness, when Tamir Rice was gunned down within 2 seconds of having a gun in his hand, a play gun in his hand in a park, and police thought he was a man. He was 12 freaking years old. How did you think he was a man? Because he was black. Any black male over 10 years old is a man.
To investigate. Yeah, I investigated. I got out the car and I shot him. Sure.
Hell, they shot him in the car. They pulled up and shot him.
I was about to say that. I don't even remember the video of him even getting out the car.
No questions, no nothing. And there was nobody even around him. He's just randomly out there playing by himself. And, he had to die because he had a gun and he's black. And,
gotta go.
And the crazy part of that is that, people will say, well, but Brian, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't kill black people. He killed white people. Well,
please let me get this. Hold on, B. Let me get that one.
All right.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So here I go. Man, I have so much material on this stuff till it ain't funny. Just simply because my interest was piqued from the very start whenever we all was sitting as a larger panel and we was trying to give our future predictions of this and how it was going to go. I was on the fence. I think it was me and Big Brother. We was kind of on the fence because we knew what law was going to say. But what it was is that we was more so interested in what the court of public opinion was going to, how much the court of public opinion was going to weigh in on. So, okay. Very two distinctive cases, but I'm just going to stick with the Kyle Rittenhouse one.
Okay.
so far. You are absolutely right, Brian. The only thing that the defense had to do was three major things. Three major things: deny, distract, and deflect. That's all they had to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And because, I mean, their job was given to them. Then on top of that, the court itself, the judge himself, think about his mannerism. Think about the energy that how he ran his courtroom. I believe that he was dang on near selected to guide this particular case. But that's neither here nor there. That's just a personal belief. But you can just tell from the energy of even how he handled the case that Rittenhouse was going to be acquitted.
Oh yeah.
But like you were saying before, because even the way, I mean, the way that he would admonish the prosecution, the prosecution, and he would be so cordial, and it was almost like he was coddling a child at times. I followed this case from start to finish, guys. This was a very hard case to follow each and every day. And every day I was trying to put things out on my platform to either try to give light, shed light to something, or break a particular phrase down, like, because most people don't know what legal, the legal terms that people throw around, like you think, but then, so that's what I was trying to do, and just trying to get trying to take the personal judgment out of it. But I'm with my sister Lori. Whenever, oh boy, and here's the thing: you don't have to be a good actor. You don't have to be a good actor to hear the words that you are conditioned and trained to say. And he said it just like any well-prepped pre-trial client would. He stuck with the three basic things. I was in fear of my life. I did not want to kill nobody. I had to do what I had to do. Judge, daddy, tears. And that was it. Once they put Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand, everybody was still kind of teeter-tottering. But once he went up on the stand and he said those three magical phrases, whether he was a good actor or not, mind you, now the judge had to do his job. He had to take the emotion out of it. And he had to tell people, law. Remember the law. It has nothing to do with your emotions. It has nothing to do with your emotions. Law says this. And that's how he got over. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? So white man tears are very, very powerful. And what y'all said earlier about the difference between the ages when you're black or a person of color versus you're white, yeah, definitely. You're handled and you're treated totally different.
So
But
CJ,
that's all I'm going to say about that.
CJ, while you're talking about the judge, from the very beginning, before pretrial and everything else, you're right. The judge, throughout the entire case, put his finger all over this case.
Yeah.
Some people would even describe it as putting their finger on the scales of justice, which normally just means what happens to black folks normally before they're brought in front of a judge.
Exactly.
And comments after the chitlins all day by Sarah Parker. Attorney Brian, the prosecutor, needed you. Well, we'll see about that. And then she also said CJ, the judge, was Kyle's grandpa, which not true, but funny as hell. And
Yeah,
Brad, what's up, Mr. Brad? Says that judge brought all of his emotions to that trial, though. And that's what I wanted to hit on, because he definitely set the tone in a way that to me was a bit over the top, because he told the prosecution that they could not refer to the people that Kyle Rittenhouse had killed as victims. And he
Exactly.
couldn't even, and then he said that that's a loaded term, and even alleged victims is even a loaded term. So if you're going to say, well, calling them victims is a loaded term, but then he tells the defense, but you can call the dead people rioters, looters, and arsonists.
Which is just
Well,
as low.
okay. Is there any
Which is just
video of
as
any
low.
of those people stealing shit, lighting up shit? And that, but that's not a loaded term. So
Of
you
course it
can
is.
kind of see where the judges on politics were coming out on display, where he bought into this whole idea that Black Lives Matter, Antifa, whatever it is just a bunch of looters and arsonists. He's just repeating a lot of Republican talking points when it comes to the differences between protesters for the Black Lives Matter movement versus people that I don't know stormed the Capitol. That's
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was a big
people
one.
that stormed the Capitol never were referred to in any of those things. They hell, a lot of them were actually called patriots for actually being the most undemocratic, doing the most undemocratic thing that they could do. They were called patriots. Yet you let people march for Black people's rights. Now you're looters, you're arsonists, and all it takes is a fire to break out. People start busting in stores and things like that, and they connect that to the protest and to the movement. It's so easy to have that proximity that now all of a sudden, oh, now the movement is being judged on the fact that some people use that as a shield to, yes, do things illegally. But that wasn't
Yeah.
why the protest started. That protest started because Jacob Blake walked away from a
Right.
police officer, and because cops believe that you are still slaves, that how
Exactly.
dare you walk away from me
And you didn't show me your papers.
and
Your
turn your
freedom
back
papers.
on me. You're walking away from me, and I still have the authority to put 6 bullets in your back and try to murder you. Now, you weren't being aggressive to me. You simply walked away, and I still can put 6 bullets in your back and still have the state say it was a justified shooting. And there just happened to be some people that said that's a crock of crap, and they decided to protest. That's what happened. And this judge from the beginning decided to let you know how he felt about protesters, in that, yeah, you can call them arsonists and looters and rioters, but don't you dare call these dead people that didn't get to go back home that night to their families victims, or even alleged victims, because that's a quote unquote freaking loaded term. That's where the judge started, but that's certainly not where he ended. All through the trial, he kept putting his thumb on the scale. He kept scolding the prosecutors, and at times the prosecutors deserved it because they were stepping over the line, trying to present things that had, whether you agree with what the judge was telling you, could not be introduced as evidence. You got to follow the judge's directions. And several times the prosecutors kept trying to figure out another way of saying the same thing without saying it that way. And the judge wasn't playing that game, and he scolded them for it. And honestly, rightfully so. It's his courtroom. Now, people can say whatever they want about the judge. Here's the deal, y'all. And you've heard me say this plenty of times. Vote. Elections have consequences. Judges get in positions because they show up on a ballot. That means they are political appointed figures. Okay? There's no mayor that appoints all the judges. There's no city council that appoints all the judges. They are elected officials. That's how they show up in those courtrooms. So as quirky and as weird and as uncomfortable as you saw that judge, I will guarantee you all day, every day, that there are a whole bunch of judges sitting in benches just like him.
Oh yeah, it's a lot more.
The reason is because voter turnout is 30% average in most districts, if that. Maybe a slight bump in a federal election year, But when there's no federal candidates on the ballot, i.e. president, vice president, then the voter turnout is very, very low in these districts. And you get some of these podunk folks sitting on the bench. They don't have no reason to sit on the bench other than to espouse their crazy political views. Yeah, and that's just the truth of it. So while that was crazy to have that judge like that, that's what happens when you don't vote. That's what you get. But after all of that, I don't know if y'all ever, well, I'm sure you do. You remember how there were, you know, racist folks, right? And if there were white people that hung out with black people and the racists saw that, there was a term that they espoused to the white people.
Wigger?
It started with an N and it ended with the word lover. That ringing any bells, anybody? You were called an N lover, and that means you white, but you seem to have sympathies.
You a sympathizer.
You're a sympathizer, but they called you an N lover.
Yes.
Well, white people, I am glad that a lot of you have woken up, especially during the George Floyd unrest and even past that. And I do appreciate that. But this is what I want y'all to understand. You can march with us. You can sit there and get into the streets with us and everything else. But what I want you to understand is that when they start talking about Black Lives Matter and Antifa and they see you as the same thing. They see you in a lot of ways, they see you worse because you're a traitor to your people.
Yep.
You're that.
They'll call you that to your face.
You're that in lover now. So the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse shot 2 white people and maimed another, and they weren't white, it really doesn't matter because they were still in lovers.
You're right. Well, you know what?
So at that point, all he was doing in the eyes of white nationalists was eradicating some trash from their own race. And they're not above doing that because if you're not going to be with them, then you're against them, regardless of what color you are. So keep that in mind, that just because he didn't kill black folks, it was a Black Lives Matter movement. And if you're white and you show any sympathies to those movements, you're just as much a target as I am.
And you know what?
But understand that they're going to view you as a traitor, and everybody knows that the penalty for treachery is death.
It's death.
So if they kill you, if you die, you die. you're at that point, your whiteness won't get you out of anything because you've already shown, you basically turned your back on the superior race. And they're not going to sit there and let you walk away from that alive. And that's what Kyle Rittenhouse did. That's why Kyle Rittenhouse was sitting there at a bar with a bunch of Proud Boys, 3%ers, and Oath Keepers, and acting like, oh, I didn't know that's who they were. Yet you was giving out the however they do the symbol, white power symbol. He got it. Yeah, he real good at it. I don't even know how to do it. He was doing that, and then he talking about he didn't know what it was. Well, you don't know enough of nothing, do you? You don't know you was around a bunch of white terrorists. You don't know you was throwing up the white power sign or none of that kind of stuff. So after the verdict, Rittenhouse then goes into the whole PR campaign where now he just wants everybody to understand, hey, I'm just a normal kid at the end of the day. I didn't know that I was hanging around a bunch of bad people, and I just want to have a chance. And he knows he has to do that because it doesn't matter what the jury finds. The court of public opinion ends up having the final say a lot of times. So just because you weren't found guilty on those charges, the court of public opinion may not be as kind to Kyle Rittenhouse. Secondly, and he should know this. Ask OJ. Just because you were acquitted on state charges does not mean that civil charges, wrongful death charges, cannot and probably have been filed against you. So while you can be acquitted from a criminal aspect, you can still be found fully liable in a civil respect. And I would definitely suggest they do that because all the books that have been coming out over the last year and a half about Donald Trump and what really happened, why I stayed silent till we left, and now I'm telling everything, and everybody got a book deal, right? Well,
Everybody.
if you go after Kyle Rittenhouse and you file a civil suit against him and you win, any money he makes off of any of those book deals goes to the people that have liens and judgments against him.
Yeah.
So even right now, while you saying he ain't barely got a pot to piss in, you don't, no. Don't look at it like that. You know good and well hell, he gonna start getting a bunch of book deals, telling his side of the story, making a whole bunch of money off of it. He ain't gonna make a dime off of it if he got millions and millions of dollars in civil penalties out there. Sue his ass. Sue him. Don't let him grift off of people being put in the ground. Do not let him grift off of this. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, Brian. Actually, I want to go back to something that you were saying about what this particular case or his particular case, why it didn't seem, or I guess like whenever people begin to realize, oh, this was an 18-year-old white kid that shot at 3, killed 2, and wounded 1 white person. So why would it matter because they wasn't black? That seemed to be like the whole energy going on around the social media, even to where like even more notable like celebrity figures and stuff was pretty much saying that. And here's the thing, guys. It should not have mattered whether his victims were black or not. Exactly. And here's the reason why I say that. Because if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. No, it may not. His reason for shooting them may not have been for the color of their skin. And like how the Republicans was trying to make it a political issue by saying, hey, look, guys, your right to self-defense is on trial. That's not what they were really saying. What they were really saying was your white privilege is on trial. And that's what the case was really about. It was about white privilege. And so why should we care as black people and people of color? That's why. And that's why we should have put in just as much energy into his victims, because we all know we're only 13% of this population. And even if you got all 13% of us to say, hey, this ain't right, laws need to be changed, so forth and everything, guess what, guys? We still need the help of others. And what better way to show cohesiveness and being united is to get that same pull and that same energy from them. They need to see that we got their back in true victim situations, and then therefore we can get the reciprocation of that support when we holler, hey, look what happened to us.
Yeah, because it wasn't the thing always when they say Black Lives Matter, some people would say all lives matter. So
exactly.
Yeah, why are black folks mad that white folks got killed? Because all lives matter, right?
Because all lives matter, right? And you put that back in their face. Either we really believe in this or we don't, y'all. And that's where I stand with it. Whenever I do my show, I don't care what I'm not really. I mean, it is centered around the injustices of black people and people of color. But what we're really looking at is what my sister Lori said. Justice. What does justice really look like? Now, you have that statue of Lady Justice. She's supposed to be blindfolded. But I think they need to reshape her and have her lifting up that blindfold to show, because that's the image that I get, that she got one of those eyes open and she's actually looking at who she's judging.
She kind of doing like this.
Exactly. Because that's Black America. That's Black America along with people of color America. But
dang it, Lori, you could have easily sat there and photoshopped Lady Justice doing the blindfold and then doing like this. Dang it.
exactly.
Because when people talk about two Americas and different systems and things like that, that's what they're talking about. And it really does depend on who Lady Justice is looking down at as the way things are handled. We truly already understand and know that if Kyle Rittenhouse had been Khalil Tucker
Johnson.
Johnson or Muhammad showing
Oh,
up at
God.
that same place with an AR-15 in his hand saying, hey, I'm here to protect some
Absolutely.
stuff, those cops would not let him just run around rampant with a freaking AR-15 in his hand, giving him a bottle of water, patting him on the back and stuff like that. No judge would have sat there and had him pick his jury out of a freaking hopper like he was at bingo night.
Man, oh my God.
There was so many things going on in this trial. You're looking around like, are you serious? And that's what we're talking about when we talk about critical race theory. That even woven into the fabrics of our justice system, the way that folks are treated are different based on their race. If Kyle Rittenhouse was Khalil Johnson sitting on that stand, would that judge have objected to as much stuff as he objected to? Hell no.
Would he have set the stage?
Hell no.
Exactly.
Now, and let's be plain. If Khalil Johnson was on stage and had killed two people and maimed a third and they were white, would they be allowed to be called victims? You damn right they would have been called victims.
Every day,
no alleged, no nothing.
Exactly.
And no, you better not call them looters and arsonists. They're damn patriots. Their parents, they came from a good military family, and they'll tell you everything about their parents and their granddaddy. He fought in the Civil War admirably, and all this other stuff will come up.
Did it happen to stand out to you guys when they was running the background checks on the guys that he shot? Oh my gosh, I had their names before, but the one guy that was coming out of the hospital, his dad finally spoke out after the trial. But I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? Had, just like you're saying, Brian, had it been a black guy that had shot at him and killed two and shot one, his hospitalization story would have had such a spin on it. He would have been like, and he was trying to get help because he had mental problems and he had family issues and all that. You talking about breaking out the violin, the proverbial violin? Oh, it would have been brought out. And same thing with the other guy, whatever his story was. They made these guys, they degraded the characters of these guys like they wouldn't spit. But had it been the opposite complexion, you would have heard the polar opposite story. I'm glad you brought that out, B, because not a lot of people caught that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Not a lot of people caught that.
So let's move over to the other trial because it was surprising in some ways.
I wasn't.
The Ahmaud Arbery trial was different because, this was a case of jogging while black and how black folks can't do some of the same things that white people do and it'd be looked that way. So Ahmaud Arbery's jogging in the neighborhood, apparently stops at an unfinished house. There's a camera in there, shows that he just looked around. How many people see houses being built in their development and don't walk up to the house and they peek through or even step in and just look at the architecture or anything else? Is that technically misdemeanor breaking and entering? It is. It actually is.
Only when you're told.
But when I look
only when you're told.
Yes,
only
that's true.
When you're told.
And normally there's a sign out there that says no trespassing.
That would be
not
the
breaking and entering, it could be considered trespassing. Is there a sign out there that says no trespassing?
And it wasn't, and that's what made it all legit.
Right. So he just did what normal people do. But but this is what we're trying to tell our white counterparts. What's normal for you to do is not always normal in the eyes, not only of an African American, but people that see African Americans try to do those things. We can't jog without getting shot, y'all. We can't lay in bed without getting shot, y'all. We can't sell cigarettes on the street corner without getting choked to death, y'all. We can't play with toy guns. We can't play with toy guns and parts without getting shot, y'all. We can't pull our wallet out our thing without getting shot 43 times, y'all. These are normal things that white folks can do on a daily basis. But if you're black, you might not make it home.
That's it.
That's what we need you to understand. That just because your experience of jogging doesn't mean that you're going to die.
Exactly.
Isn't the same. Just because your experience of, man, I can lay in my palatial state at night and don't have to worry about cops sitting there shooting bullets in my apartment. That doesn't happen for a lot of people.
Exactly.
So you got to understand that your experience, your lived experience may frame the way that you look at the way life is, but understand that ain't life for everybody. That ain't how everybody else gets through their day. Some people's day is, oh man, I wake up in the morning and go, hot damn, I'm still black. There's a chance that I might not make it home. You don't wake up in the morning and go, holy crap, I am Caucasian. What are the chances that I won't make it home tonight? Or let me make sure that I tell my son about how he needs to interact with the police. Never will cross your mind. Yeah. And I get that. But again, you need to understand that just because that's your lived experience isn't everybody else's. So Ahmaud Arbery is jogging through a neighborhood, and these folks are looking at him like, why is he in our neighborhood? I'm sorry, do you own the streets? Do you get to control who jogs on a public road? What I mean, the whole audacity, but see, this is that whole thing about, I mean, ain't that what gangs fight over? Territory that don't belong to them?
Yeah.
Ain't that what gangs do?
Yeah. And
so
anyway.
So he's jogging, and they say, well, he, we've had some break-ins, even though when they went back and looked at the logs, they were like, well, we ain't had but one break-in in the last 30 days in that area. But okay. So yeah, we've had some break-ins. So let's follow him and ask him why he went in that house. We need our questions answered, and he's obliged to answer our questions. No, he's not. He don't have to tell you nothing. And if he was, and here's the thing, if he was looking to steal something, he ain't had no backpack. He didn't lead out. It wasn't nothing in his hand. He ain't had no TVs under his arms. Where the hell was he hiding the stuff he stole?
I had the exact same conversation.
Because so many the lady already made clear, hell, he had no socks on because you can see his dirty toenails.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
you brought that up.
So if he's running, so number one, if I'm running around stealing things, I want to make sure that number one, my toenails are clean. Got to do that. Because the last thing I don't want nobody to say is that he went in the house and stole some TVs, but how dare he have some dirty toenails? Really?
Not the underwear? We're not concerned about your dirty underwear?
Oh my God. So the whole thing of, and then another dude sat there and got in his car and then helped with the chase, and they're chasing him and they're cornering him in, and they're talking about, yeah, we got him cornered like a rat. They were proud of all of that. And and then you finally sit there. You can't sit there, pin somebody in, and then an altercation breaks out, and now you're fearing for your life, and now you're trying to claim self-defense when you're the one that created, and you were the aggressor in the situation to begin with. Now you can't turn around and claim self-defense. That would be like Brian going to a Ku Klux Klan rally. While all these people yelling out white power and everything else, and I just walk up in there and say, hey, y'all, I heard that y'all was serving chitlins. And they look at me going, y'all kill that in. And I go, oh, crap, I feel threatened. Let me take my AR-15 that I got and just kill all these white SOBs.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be able to claim self-defense for that?
Sure.
Or did I just kill a bunch of y'all's patriots?
No, because you walked into a mob, and under the mob law, you
I
can
felt
mow them
threatened.
all down.
But I felt
And
threatened,
law,
CJ.
and law is out the door.
I mean, why couldn't they just show me some civility and just pointed me in the right direction and said, no, you looking for the Johnson family reunion down the street. They got the chitlins. Why y'all got to say, come kill this end? Now I got to kill all y'all with my AR-15 that I sat there and brought across state lines.
Yeah.
And my grandpa judge gonna make sure that y'all not gonna be called victims because y'all are looters and arsonists and rioters. See how stupid that sounds, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Let me disappear and then Kyle Rittenhouse appear, and it's the same damn thing.
Right. But see, okay. So the major differences that I saw in the McMichaels, that, and when I say McMichaels, I'm also including Brian in there as well. Not you, Brian Parker, but I'm just gonna call him Roddy. So Roddy and
Roddy Brian Jr. Yeah.
Right. So the major differences that I saw them versus him is that they actually in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, they actually used the old school mob law, and that was much harder for the prosecution to fight against. Now flip it, and thank God for the video. Now I have my own personal view, my own personal opinion about why the video was kept, and I will share with you very quickly. When you have a modern day lynching like that, because that's exactly what it was. It was a modern day lynching.
Yep.
That was supposed to be a trophy.
Yes.
It wasn't meant for evidence.
Correct.
Not evidence in the sense of them being incriminated.
Right.
By
this can come back to haunt you.
You.
Right.
Right. So that's the reason why, because like a lot of people got stuck on that. It was like, well, if they felt like they was so right and everything, then why they record it? Because that's what you call a trophy. What happens when you go out and you hunt lions and tigers and bears and stuff? You come back with a trophy. That video was a trophy.
Right.
So that's why.
Exactly.
And because Greg had the inside track to law enforcement, because mind you, now it's coming out after the fact, guys, but did you guys know that Greg McMichael, the father, was a 10-time disgraced police officer himself? And guess what he got in trouble for, guys? Excessive force.
No.
10 times. Yeah, I know, right? 10 times. Death duty.
Only 10?
Say what?
I said only 10?
Only 10. Those was for the ones that he got caught in. Those are the ones that was reported. So, I mean, don't it all make sense?
Well,
so
you know what, CJ? It does. And the fact that they shot and killed him, and to your point, they recorded it because it was supposed to be a badge of honor. Because when you shoot unarmed Black people, people view that almost like you killed an animal. It's no different than I went out into the woods and killed a bunch of deer. And hey, boys, we got an 8-point buck. Even the terminology they were using, we got them cornered like a rat. Okay, this is not how you talk about how you got a person hemmed up.
I'm gonna blow your effing head off.
And then after and then you know, to their point though, CJ, the cops didn't arrest him for doing that. They knew what had happened. Yeah. They didn't arrest him. The local district attorney said, no, don't arrest him. I know that guy.
Oh, you mean Miss Jackie Johnson?
Yeah, he used to be a cop. Now she's in hot water because she showed preferential treatment during this whole thing. For 74 days, these dudes got to live their life until this got pressed. And then, and only then after, well into the case, Then they tried to pull up a Civil War law about citizens' arrest. But the
In which they
prosecution,
failed miserably
the
at.
prosecution did an artful job of breaking that down. And when she got
Bruh.
McMichael on the stand, she blew
Bruh.
him up.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
She broke him down, and he
Like a
basically had to
shotgun.
admit that Ahmaud Arbery never once provoked anything. He never said anything. He never came at me. Basically saying, hey, yeah, I just shot him.
Basically, you know what? Hey, Brian, I love this part right here. Basically, he got in his feelings because he was ignored.
But see, officers do that too, CJ, where they'll say, where if you're not responding to what they're telling you as fast as they think you are, they think that that's okay for them to go upside your head or beat the crap out of you or even shoot you.
Exactly.
It's all about you need to follow what I say. If I say stop, hey, I want to talk to you. That is a thing inside of white folks that they got to sit there and deal with is, why do you think it's okay that you get to detain a black person? Perfect example, like the woman in New York that lost her phone and just knew that black teen took her phone and she put her hands on him to detain him. And her father wasn't, and his father wasn't having it. Exactly. You can't detain him. He's my kid. Exactly. And she thought she had the entitlement to do that.
You know what? I think some of these
entitlement to detain you.
I think some of these white people are like having like a flashback or maybe like a reincarnated life, like before like the slaves was like truly set free, because it's almost like they're trying to get your modern day freedom paper.
It's
like
slavery.
Right there on the spot.
It's slavery.
Like,
where it's slavery, because CJ, in slavery times, when you were black, hey, there's certain places that you can be, there's certain places you ain't supposed to be. So if you're in places where you're deemed not supposed to be, any white person, whether you're slave master or any white person, had the authority to ask you a bunch of questions, and you better answer them, and it better end with ma'am or sir.
Yeah.
There are some people in 2021 that think that's how it's still going.
Right.
And if you don't do it, we have the ability to kick the crap out of you or even put you 6 feet in the freaking ground.
Exactly. So let's talk about the prosecution, man, because when I saw her break this guy down, actually, I saw her format. I kind of peaked game because I was like, now I love what she's doing. She did the very thing about what you mentioned before at the beginning of your show today. Yeah. What she did, instead of going for the big gusto, she went for the small, and her tree grew like this. That's how she got everybody to be like, wow. Yeah. Because they never saw it coming. The defense wasn't ready for that.
Right.
They thought she was going to handle this case just like how the prosecution did in Rittenhouse, and he lost it. Well, she said in the interview, she learned, that team, they learned from the Rittenhouse case getting lost. So they started out small, and they knew they was going to meet opposition and all this other stuff, and dealing with the racism and no more black pastors and all that good old stuff. And the thing I like,
No, I was going to say with that, you're right. But what they also, it goes back to what I said earlier about all the defense needed was one person on that jury to believe that those 3 white men should go free. And they already in jury selection threw out jurors that could have stayed, but they got rid of them because they were African American. And they stacked the jury with 11 people of color and 1 African American. So they knew that in their mind, they had a better chance of appealing to the racism of one of those jurors.
Yeah, she did. The curly haired blonde attorney, she actually tried it.
She tried it.
She actually tried it.
Because she, in her mind, she was like, I don't know which of the 11 that I'm speaking to, but I believe it's one of you.
Right.
That's why when the one guy talked about black pastors influencing the jury and stuff like that, he knew he was sitting there trying to do a mistrial.
Right.
And he tried to call for a mistrial several times because Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson Jr. and then he referred to 100 black pastors outside as a woke mob.
Right. Listen, man.
They threw all the dog whistles and bullhorns out because all they were trying to do was get one racist juror that they thought might be in their jury pool to say not guilty. That's all they were trying to do. And again, that's critical race theory because they were trying to use racial leanings and bullhorns and dog whistles to try to turn a jury, not to get 100% of the jurors to say not guilty, because that's not the standard. The standard is to get one to say, I don't agree with the other 11 of you, and they're not going to go to jail for this. That's all they needed. The prosecutor needed to get all 12 of them to stick together. That was the part that was going to be difficult because it was like, okay, in 2021, and you're supposed to get tried by a jury of your peers. In Brunswick, Georgia, 55% of the population is African American. Yet 1/12 of the jury was African American. How was that being tried by a jury of your peers?
And the judge knew it wasn't. And I like the way that the judge addressed it right off the bat. And he's on record right now for even speaking out about it, because when it comes to certain courts, the court is limited in how it it's limited about how the jury is selected. But my man know that he needs his job, so he went middle road and was saying, hey, look, I see what y'all did. It's questionable. I don't like it, but I have to roll with it. But I'm gonna make sure that emotion is out of this thing, and we're looking at the law.
Yeah, that's why when the guy kept coming up with the whole black pastor thing, he said, I'm not gonna sit there and tell people who can and can't be here just because they're a pastor and all that other kind of stuff. So he tried to turn the temperature down when they kept trying to turn the temperature up. My question is that what would have happened, and we don't know, but I would have loved to know what would have happened if they used those same racial epithets in front of Kyle Rittenhouse's judge. This is why elections matter. Because, like I said, if you think that Kyle Rittenhouse's judge is the only one out there like that, you think he's on the fringe, or you think he's just a little mercurial or a little quirky or a little eccentric, don't go believing that. There's a whole bunch of them out there, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. You got to vote them out.
And 80% of them run opposed. I mean, I'm sorry, unopposed.
Yes.
Unopposed.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Absolutely. And that's how they keep getting it back into them again, because nobody's opposing them. You're absolutely right, CJ. So yeah, that trial went a little bit different because at the end of the day, Travis McMichael was found guilty on all 9 charges. All of them were found guilty on the felony murder charges. But then there were aggravated assault charges, false imprisonment charges, criminal attempt to commit a felony charges. Travis McMichael got all 9 charges. His dad, Gregory McMichael, was found on all but 1. So he got hit on 8 of them. He was not guilty of malice murder, but was guilty on all of the other charges. Then Roddy Bryan was guilty on the felony murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, and contempt to commit a felony. So he missed out on a few of those charges, but all of those charges carry all those charges carry a life sentence. They are going to appeal, of course. I don't think it's going to work, but course, I mean, it's their right. They're gonna appeal it.
Right.
But now the trick is going to be, is it going to be life in prison without parole, or is it going to be life in prison with parole? With parole, they're looking at potentially 30 years.
Right. Yeah, I was about to say. I think the way that the attorney said it, at minimum, all of them will have to wait at least 30 years. So that
dad ain't got 30.
I mean, dad probably gonna age out. And I mean, and I ain't trying to be funny, because I believe they said dad was 63, Roddy was 56, and Travis is what, 30 or 20 or 30.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
yeah.
So so Travis will be well in his 50s. Greg and Roddy, you know.
Well,
the
way I see it is this.
Somewhere.
The way I see it is this. The way it's most likely to happen, and this is from the law firm of Parker, and Parker, is that if anybody is going to get without parole, thank you. If anybody's going to get without parole, it's going to be the one to pull the trigger, because he was found guilty on all 9 charges. You really can't bring in any mitigating factors that would say he should be eligible without parole. Now, you could make a case for Roddy Bryan to be, out of the 3, the strongest one with the opportunity to get the 30 years, because he did not fire a shot. He just willfully participated in a murder. It's kind of the same degrees of a bank robbery. Just because you wasn't the one inside stealing the money and you was the getaway driver, you're complicit in the robbery and you get the same amount of time. So that's what's going to happen with them. But the only mitigating factors could be, hey, I didn't pull the trigger. I just showed up and filmed it. And had it not been for me filming it, y'all wouldn't have known why we killed this N. Oh, I mean, this man.
Right.
So give me the 30 years. And he may get the 30 years as a result of that.
Did y'all get him? You need some help? That's what he did.
So I think that's the way. I think that's the way it's going to work out.
Behind on the porch and just watch the show from a distance.
Yep. Lori, jump in, because we've been skipping over you for a little bit. So
I'm
jump
sorry,
in
Lori.
and go wherever you want with it.
I've actually been doing my the background. So
yes, she has been.
Yeah, you have.
So
I didn't know. I if you don't have anything, that's fine. But I didn't want to exclude you at the same time.
And I appreciate that, because y'all two are a little chatty today. But as always,
I get a little spirited when it comes to legal stuff.
I do.
Of course.
Hello, that's my alley.
I wanted to address, I know you were a political science major, but why didn't you go into law?
That was the plan. I got pulled away into a different skill set and everything else. But yeah, that was where I was going. That's why Sarah Parker mentioned Attorney Bryan, because she knew that was where I was going to lean. But that's okay. It's okay. But I can go the Nancy Grace route and be a TV lawyer.
Yeah, please.
Right.
But you will. But that would mean you'd have to have a bad wig.
Wow.
Because she has a bad hairdo. But anyway, so my thoughts on the Ahmaud Arbery trial is that, and I guess I was just going to pose this question, that going forward, as my initial question on what does justice look like today, but it also means, everything has to be videotaped. Like Correct. Every interaction, because now it seems that even in our justice system, that there's a big overcorrection for everything that has been taking place, and that now in every interaction, I'm talking about going to the grocery store and picking up a bottle of water. You're going to have that videotaped, because then you're going to need to sit here and just show that something has happened, which again, which shows that everybody's a victim and that everyone needs to justification for everything instead of just doing the right thing. I'm appreciative that the jury, even though they stacked the jury or trying to get on the other route, that they did find these individuals guilty. But my question is, in going forward, and as we move into our final thoughts, is just what I said, is everything now going to be, it's on the gram, it's on this, we're going to be now, is everything a videotape? Because it has to be that.
That's an excellent question, Lori, and I'm glad you brought that up. I guess you saved the best for last with us, because that's exactly what my fear is that are we now, because if you think about what happened with George Floyd, if you think about what happened with if you think about what happened with the Ahmaud Arbery case, these were brought up because there was actual video evidence. What would have happened if there had not been any video evidence of Ahmaud Arbery? And we were taking one word against another. These guys would be free. These guys would have never even been arrested. That's the real problem. So are we setting a high precedent that the only way we can get justice is when we have so much irrefutable evidence? You can't basically say what I just saw didn't happen. Because Derek Chauvin was such an ass and gave you 9.5 minutes of watching him do what he did. It was so irrefutable that your eyes, you couldn't say, don't believe me in my lying eyes. You had to go with what you were seeing. But should that be the hurdle for every case, is to have clear, definitive video like Derek Chauvin and like Ahmaud Arbery? Is that the only way that we're going to get what is considered justice, or can justice look another way without having video interpretations?
Maybe not in our lifetime, but anyway.
Yeah. So I'm gonna close there because I know we're running down on time and everything. Panel, you guys have been great as always. Man, I'm happy for the things that do happen, but you know what? I'm sure Ahmaud Arbery's parents would just rather have Ahmaud. Justice, real justice. I'm gonna answer this as my way out. What real justice should look like is everybody being treated fairly. No one being looked at a certain way because of the way that they look, so that we don't have to have stupid ass trials because people want to take the law and other people's lives into their own hands. When they realize that my life and that person's life is the same and means the same. That's what true justice is. Justice isn't about what you do after someone has been wronged. Real justice is about making sure that people aren't being wronged. That's justice. Take that with you. Teach your kids that you treat everybody the same. And the way justice will come out is that we don't have to continue to go back and forth about dirty toenails and black pastors and all these things that CJ talked about earlier, is about deflections and distractions. Real justice is when everyone is seen the same under God's son. That's what real justice is about, y'all.
Yep.
But in lieu of that, after that, justice then is about making sure that people that do wrong are held accountable. But accountability shouldn't be because you've killed someone. Accountability needs to be that you look inside yourself and you figure out why it is that you see an unarmed black man jogging in your neighborhood, and he's more of a threat than a bunch of people in white hoods and tiki torches walking down your street. You need to figure that out inside yourself, because you obviously see one as an aggressor and another as a bunch of patriots. That's the problem. Until next time, this is Brian Parker with Head to Head. We'll see y'all every single week. We out of here. Be good. Take us home, Lori.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.